Hey, council, we're going to convene early for the sake of the ready applicants. So once Katie gets back in here, we'll go ahead and motion to proceed.
That's cool.
Everybody's mics are on. Great. We'd be looking for a motion to reconvene our special meeting.
Motion to reconvene?
Is there a second? Second by Valentine. Katie, please call roll.
Mulner?
Here.
Shoemate?
Here.
Valentine?
Here.
Wood?
Yes.
Cox?
Here.
Yes.
Cosmer? Here. McNabb?
Yes.
Great. Yes.
You're at 4.
John, welcome.
Good evening.
We appreciate you so much for not only applying for this position, but taking the time to be here for tonight's interview. Just to give you a little bit of overview of how we're going to structure this, we have a series of questions we're going to ask.
Yep.
And we're going to go around the chamber so that each individual will ask you a question.
Sure.
Following your response, we'll ask if there's any clarifying questions or comments, and we'll proceed to the next member for the next question.
Okay.
Anything you want to say up front before we get started?
No?
Great. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to, I believe we're going to start with Amy this time.
Can I just make sure, is your microphone on? The light, green light on?
Green light is on.
Cool.
You're on.
Thank you.
And Amy, before you go, actually, technically, I think Marcia was up next in the rotation, but would you like to proceed, or would you like Marcia to take that first question?
I'll let Marcia take it.
All right, well, Councilwoman Cosmore, the floor is yours for question number 1.
Hi, John. I don't know if you remember
Good
me
evening.
from, we've seen each other on the Zoom on the ADW.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Look a lot different when you're in person.
Yeah, it is nice. There are benefits to both, so.
Okay, first I'm going to ask you, you have any opening statements about yourself? And then the second part of the question is, what do you know about Gibraltar?
I've been in local government for going on a decade now, and just taking an interest to a lot of different roles, and this position opened up, and I thought, based on kind of the prerequisites and qualifications that Gibraltar wanted, I figured I'd be a good fit, depending on discussion and whether or not it's something everyone up there wants it to be successful as well as me. So that's what drew me to this position in this city. City of Gibraltar, I do know that it's a city that geographically and population-wise is fairly small, so I'm sure there's plenty of, you're basically fighting for limited resources, financially, labor-wise, contractor-wise, engineering, the whole works, I'm sure. And it just takes individuals that know what they're doing and are confident in decisions and just say, hey, this is where we want the city to go. Personally, I haven't been to Gibraltar very often, or if ever. I do know it was established in 1837 because that's what the sign says right when you enter into the city. And I mean, that's most of my experience. When this position came open through the MML and just talking with other individuals, it's a city that I can tell people are passionate about that live here, that I would assume like living here. A lot of these smaller cities, everybody seems to know each other and everybody does their best at least to try to make it a good place to live and work, where you come into your own city and you say, things are good here. I like living here. I like working here. I enjoy where I live and I want to stay here. So that's been my experience of just even driving in here today and just talking to other individuals at different SEMCOG, ADW, GLWA events, just to get a little grasp of each different city, each different township, and say that it's a small city that's probably got a lot of passion behind it, and a demand for trying to figure out how to utilize resources with not even 5,000 people living here in a small geographic area, so.
And you have anything about yourself too? Would you like to tell us a little more about yourself?
So like I said, I started local government about a decade ago, just as a shovel and probe DPW laborer, and just really kind of saw the value in what the professional local government can bring to, I don't know, residents, businesses, cities and townships. And I just made it a point in my early stages of working in local government to learn everything I could related to the equipment, to positions that are common amongst different cities and townships, and then how they interact with residents and businesses to try to just benefit an area. So I feel like I bring a lot of infrastructure experience, how much stuff costs, how much it's supposed to cost, how to actually get things built and or repaired, replaced, fixed. And I mean, that's kind of my journey and story is I've gotten into local government and see that there's a lot of benefits to it that larger government can't offer.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Council, any clarifying questions or comments?
I have a question. How does Gibraltar, size-wise and population-wise, compare to Sumter?
It's roughly half the population and, let's see if I can do math, about a fifth of the size geographically. So Sumter's roughly 10,000 population and then 36 square miles.
Okay.
Actually, a little bit larger than 36 square miles. So I think Gibraltar's 5,000 and maybe 5 or 6 square miles, I think, somewhere around there, so. Which has its own challenges as well, but yeah, that's how they compare at least.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Council, any clarifying questions or comments? Councilman Molnar.
Thank you, sir. John, thank you for being here. Communication is key. How are you with asking for help or instruction if you are not comfortable with a particular task?
Just starts with, I'm less familiar with something than one of you may be, or somebody else in a different position might be. And in my 2.5 years with Sumter, you get used to being in situations where you may not be as knowledgeable about a given task or a given department related to a city. And it just starts with, hey, I'm not as familiar with this particular program, this particular process, this particular document. I assume you would be. Let's sit down and talk it over and you educate me a little bit and I can hopefully educate you about some other aspect. So it's as easy as just asking questions, whether it be a phone call, a text, or a group email. Say, I don't know anything about this particular aspect of a position, city, department, which all of us are good at some things and don't know anything about other departments. So that's something that, I don't know, over the course of the last few years, I feel like I really excelled at just saying, hey, these are the things I'm really good at. These are the things that I know about, my strengths. And these are some of the departments or things that I just don't have a lot of familiarity with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Great. Clerk Katie.
When you're faced with limited resources, financial and otherwise, how as manager do you set priorities for the use of limited resources you have?
Making lists. I mean, the city administrator job, or I guess any management at a city, you really got to determine, is this good and needed for the city? And then is this good and needed for the residents? And then basically just make a list, prioritize it. And then I guess from my role, if I was a city administrator, once I kind of determined priorities, it would be up for me to kind of communicate and disseminate that to board and elected officials to say, here's how I view the priorities in a particular order. Let's discuss. If you think one should move up, one should move down, that's where the discussion happens, where we can set a priority list and say, is this good and needed by the town or by the city, and is this good and needed by the residents? And that's the clearest, easiest way to get meaningful dialogue. Say, hey, I think this is more important, whereas somebody else might say, no, this is more important. Okay, let's discuss, debate, argue a little bit as to why, and then figure out where our priorities and our energy should be spent in the short term and the long term.
Thank you. Council, any clarifying questions or comments?
I love the comment about making lists. You know, we have, around places I work, we talk quite a bit about making lists and how it differentiates people that, or at least in our view, people that are striving for success and people who maybe aren't as much. Making lists are such an important topic to us. So
Yeah,
I
it definitely,
dig it.
and as clear and concise as you can be, right? I mean, when we're dealing with a city or a local government, pick 5 or 6 priorities, list them in order, and just try to debate or argue. Is this the most needed by the city, and is this most needed by the residents? And then kind of go from there as to what our plan of action is to try to, I don't know, make things better within a city.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Any other clarifying questions or comments? John, thanks again for being here. Before I get to my specific question in front of me, just one kind of build question from
Yeah.
earlier. So thank you for the opening statement, kind of sharing your journey and your experience. Would love to just better understand from you, you know, with your local government experience and your Director of Department of Public Works, why do you feel you're pursuing the next step as City Administrator of Gibraltar from what your current position is?
When this position came open, it had a lot of prerequisites that a DPW director has/needs. And I'm at the stage in my career where I feel like I've learned a lot about local government, what roles are needed when and where. And this position just allows me to almost step back a little bit, observe from a different perspective what roles do what roles are needed when, and what priorities need to happen in a city or township. So like as the administrative role, I've been in a position where I haven't had to deal a lot of it firsthand, but just with talking with our township manager and our elected officials in Sumter Township, it's something I want to do. It's a challenge, and it's something that takes a little bit of energy, a little bit of effort, knowledge to be communicated back and forth. And I just kind of had an interest where when this one came up and it asked for a lot of the DPW director qualifications, well, I have all those. So any candidate's going to have strengths or weaknesses, and I just figured mine would be something that would benefit this particular role with kind of the added, oh, well, the city administrator here might have to take on a lot of other department head roles just based on the size and population and resources that it has.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. The question I have for you is, as city administrator, how do you view your role in local government in comparison to the role of the elected officials?
So, I mean, as elected officials, you all live in the city. My role as a city administrator would be to bring just professional skills and as a profession to take all the information that elected officials would bring to me, organize it, prioritize it, and then redistribute it to all of you. And then from there, we can have a discussion as to where we want the city to go. So it's more of a, city administrator is a profession that really, every city, township's the same but different. There's a lot of things that are similar between other local governments, and there's a lot of things that are unique. As elected officials, you would bring what's unique about Gibraltar. You live here, you've been here a long time, you have a lot of knowledge regarding the city. I would be bringing more, this is how cities, in my view, should run. We can debate it, we can talk about it, we can argue about it, and then take all that information that you would filter through me, kind of bottleneck it a little bit, and then redistribute it out with priorities. This is what I think is important. Let's have a discussion about it, and then take action to make it happen. Because I feel like a lot of times in local government, discussion can continue on for a long time, and a lot of times it just frustrates residents, the public, businesses, as to say, hey, the discussion is continued long enough, let's have a vote, let's take action and get a few things done. So I feel like as a city administrator, my main job would be to kind of funnel information that all the elected officials would bring to me, prioritize it, and then redistribute it back out to elected officials in the city. So,
Thanks, John. Any
Yeah.
clarifying questions or comments from council? All right, Councilwoman Wood.
Okay. Question number 5. In your role as administrator, who do you feel is the most important group, individuals, or organization you interact with?
individual would be the mayor. I mean, in any city, township, municipality, the mayor is still the head elected official, elected by residents to say, hey, whether you want to or like it or not, for your term, you're the sole leader of the township or city or county, I guess, if you're at the county level. And it would kind of be my job to not only take the mayor's vision and knowledge of the city and say, how can we put this into action and make it benefit residents, businesses, just the local community, and then distribute that out to the council. Because as an individual, they're statutorily responsible for anything that happens within the city. And then wise of groups, it would be the board, because the board has final decisions on anything city related. So, the city administrator's job is basically to filter what the mayor's vision and ideas and concepts and priorities are for the city. And then my job is to just do my best to make that happen, so.
Thank you, John. Council, any clarifying questions or comments? Councilman Valentine.
I have two questions, really. The first one, in your professional career, what do you find to have been the most rewarding aspects of your current previous jobs?
I found a great value in learning infrastructure work. There's a lot of my two previous positions, just being able to work firsthand with repair, replace, update underground infrastructure, and then also trying to get larger project infrastructure repaired, replaced, taken care of. There's a value there that I just find important. People don't really, no matter where you live, chances are you're utilizing and consuming underground infrastructure to some respect, whether it be public utilities like water and sewer, storm drains, or private ones like gas and electric. I've just seen a lot of value from it. I feel like it's been very rewarding to be able to work on infrastructure and see how it actually affects the greater public. Most residents, probably even myself, don't realize how valuable it is until it either stops working or it deteriorates, and then you're constantly looking for ways to fund for it. So the last two positions, I see the value in it, and I don't plan on getting out of this field anytime soon because I think it's important. It's an out of sight, out of mind thing that a lot of DPW workers just kind of do day in and day out every day, whether it be repairing small main break areas or looking at big, large, we're going to replace 10 miles of water main. It benefits a city or a community more than I think can even be documented.
What do you think is the most rewarding aspects of the position you are applying for?
The city administrator has the ability to really improve a quality of life for residents, just based on decisions day in and out, making tough decisions when needed, and interacting with residents on a daily basis where elected officials may not be able to be here full-time, but they still have goals, a priority. They interact with residents, especially in a city of this size. Between everybody on the board, there's probably not a resident in the city that doesn't have some contact with one of the elected officials. So as a city administrator, you get a little bit of rewarding, I don't know exactly how to put it, but you get a good fulfillment of being able to know, hey, as a city administrator, I'm going to try to make decisions to benefit the quality of life of residents in such a way that services come in, businesses come in when needed, and everything gets updated so you don't let infrastructure fall apart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council, any clarifying questions or comments? Councilman Cox.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Do you have any experience with millage requests? And if so, what do you feel are the most important aspects of a successful millage campaign?
Just via being part of a union and seeing millages get passed in Romulus and one coming up in Sumter. The most important part is just educating the public. Most of the time I found with millages, whether it be public safety, library, schools, educating a voter base to say, this is exactly why it's needed, and this is what you're not going to have if we don't vote for it. So I haven't had to be a part of constructing the verbiage or the wording to go into a millage or a campaign strategy, but being part of a city and working for a city that's had a fire and public safety millage pass and one that's now coming up, just through discussions with elected officials and the general public, say, the number one thing is just to educate voters, say, hey, this short paragraph or paragraph and a half that gets put on a ballot, this is what it means. This is as concise and clear as we can make it. I mean, that's the biggest challenge for any millage, because most individuals or residents, even myself, we don't want to pay more in taxes unless we know we're getting value out of it. Even elected officials or people that work in local government are still a little reluctant to say, why do I have to pay more unless we're clear and educated as to why it is we need that and what service we wouldn't get if we don't vote for one. So it's been, I guess you'd call it firsthand. I mean, I guess working for a city or township that has passed a millage and has one coming up in this upcoming election, it's important to just educate, whether it be while we're out and about in the city or during work hours, to just educate and try to be clear and ethical and moral about, hey, we need this because of this, this, and this, and if we don't get this, we're probably going to see these services reduced.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Council, any clarifying questions or comments? All right, Finance Director Amy, we'll turn it back to you.
The manager could potentially serve as the DPW director, DDA director, on the pension board, HR director, benefit coordinator, and interfaces with the planning commission, as well as perform a variety of other roles. How would you address the need for such a diverse knowledge base to be efficient and effective in all of these roles?
You got to be authoritative but not arrogant. If you're going to try to take on different management roles, which in this particular city, in this particular job opening, is very unique. I don't know a lot of other cities or townships or municipalities that have not very clearly and distinctively separated a lot of these roles. Said, this is one individual, this is all you handle, this is one individual, this is all you handle, whether it be city administrator, DPW director, HR director, DDA. A lot of the cities and townships do separate all of them so that they got one individual dedicated to that. So if this city's in a situation where just based on population and size, hey, we don't have the resources to hire 8 different people. So you got to find somebody that can adapt to different roles, understand that they don't know every department and it's hard to be the best at any given one if you have to take on all these different roles. But somebody with energy and I've always just kind of pride I'm being authoritative but not arrogant. If you're arrogant, people start to just turn you away and they're not receptive and they're not going to want to collaborate and work and try to communicate and get things done. Whereas in a position like this, if you're taking on other HR roles, DPW director, you have to have some sort of authority and you have to know when to assert that authority and when to just have adult to adult conversation. So.
Thank you, John. Council, any clarifying questions or comments? Councilman McNabb, you want to take us to the next question?
Yes. In this position, you may be dealing with multiple outsourced and departments, assessor, building, engineering, legal, and planning. In the eyes of the citizens, they are simply the city. What is your approach to the citizens and to the out-of-office vendors performing their scope of work to ensure that the request is getting properly addressed and communication stays up to the date with the citizen and between multiple vendors as engineering, communication, building, and planning?
City administrator's like quality control position. I mean, the city administrator's statutory role is to the city. So even in a lot of the other local governments, yeah, we contract out a lot of services. Every local government does it. And you're right, the resident, 99% of the time, doesn't care if you contract it out. It's still the city performing this work or doing this job or looking into this project. And the city administrator's job, I guess, would just your quality control over whatever work's getting done, and then setting clear expectations from the beginning and being clear with residents. They're not always going to be happy. They're not always going to feel like they've won in a particular instance. They just want to feel that they've been heard. hey, this is why some of these things may be affecting you now, but we're trying to find ways so that in the future it won't. So it's just one of those situations where a smaller city like this, I'm assuming we contract out more services than a larger city. But from the resident perspective, it's still the city doing the work. So it does take just an administrative role that isn't solely on the city administrator to handle, but at least if not, to be able to communicate that out to elected officials and say, here's the clear expectations we need from the beginning. And this resident may or may not be happy, but we got to make sure they're heard and that their concern is addressed. Doesn't mean at the end of the day everybody's got to be happy. It just means that we need to have some quality control over the work that's getting done, whether it be by a private business or what services the township or city can do. And just make that clear to residents as to why it is that way.
Thank you. Council, any clarifying questions or comments? Councilwoman Cosmore has our last question for this evening, but before we
Sure.
get to that, we've been asking all candidates
Yeah.
out of transparency.
Yep.
Do you have any personal or professional relationships with anybody sitting in front of you?
No.
Great, thank you so much. So Councilwoman Cosmore is going to take the last question for you, and then
Yep.
if you have any questions or comments for us, we'll give the floor to you to speak.
I know you took the time to prepare for this interview. Is there anything that you were expecting us to ask and we did not?
A position like this is fairly demanding. And I know even coming into a position, whether it be new or somebody that's been in a position for a long time, questions like, okay, how do you balance the fact that this would be a demanding job that you can't let take over your life either, because all of us have family obligations, lives that we want to live outside of work. And whether it be now or in the future, I just kind of like, everybody should do their best to at least be aware of that and kind of ask, hey, this is a very demanding job. We want you to be successful in it. If I take on this role, I want to be successful in it, but we all have family obligations as well. So how would you handle that or balance that with, hey, being clear and communicating with the board if any one of us would be out, whether it be an employee, management, or an elected official, who's available for the next week, 2 weeks, month that could step in and just pick up a little bit of extra weight? And what are the times that you wouldn't be able to? So I would just kind of, I don't know, being a fairly demanding job, I think we're all clear and confident that a position like this is. Question is like, how do you balance it? What strategies do you come up with to make sure you're not going to get burnt out by it? To make sure you're going to be clear as to, hey, I have this obligation, I have that obligation. These are the priorities. And be able to communicate, whether it be group text, group email, or just phone calls.
Thank you. Councilman Valentine?
I'm not trying to put you on the spot because I don't know. What is the difference between an S1 and an F4 water operator license?
Oh, the S1 is for water distribution, so anything out in the field. The F licenses go 4321 as well. That's for water treatment. So the state allows you, when you get your S1 license, you can qualify to take your F4 and vice versa. If you get your F1 license, which is all treatment plant based, so if you work at a treatment plant, one of the GLWA plants, or I guess any city that has their own treatment plant, they're all leveled as well. So like all the GLWA treatment plants are F1. They take source water and turn it into drinking water. You're able to take the other one. So I was just through spending a lot of time at the Southwest Water Treatment Plant. I figured the state said I could take it, so I made an effort to just see kind of the entry level as to how we take drinking water out of the Detroit River, turn it into drinking water, and then pump it to the region.
So F4 is a little higher than an F1?
No, F4 is the entry level, and F1 would be the highest level you get in that. Just like S4 all the way up to 1, those are all based on population and size. Same thing with the F4 up to the F1. Okay. In order to manage and run a treatment plant, you'd be required to have an F1, unless it was an F2 community, just same way that S1 licenses are organized. So the F4 is the entry level that you qualify to take in the event you get an S1, which a lot of people don't cross over because most people that work in the field as DPW directors don't have that much of an interest as to where their water is sourced from. And then most individuals that work in a water treatment plant, when it leaves the treatment plant, I guess maybe they don't really see a lot of it, or like, I don't know, just we pump it out and somebody else can figure it out. So I just kind of got interested in it and figured if the state said I would take it. Took me a little while to pass that one, but I did, I guess. Yep.
Well, any further questions from council?
Can I ask one?
Yeah, please.
Do you have any experience with lead line replacement? I know that's a big thing that's going on in the state right now, and we are currently working on a
Yeah.
big project for that as well.
I did see that City of Gibraltar got grant money to handle a decent number of lead lines. When I worked in Romulus, there's a handful of lead lines there as well. And in that position, it was just the few that we came across, we replaced and put in new copper lines. I guess from the administrative side, it would be just working diligently. I mean, I know most of the state regulations for what percentages are supposed to be replaced when. So it would be something where finding good qualified contractors, figuring out what percentage we need to get to each year until they're all replaced. But wise being in the field, I'm very comfortable with just replacing them. Strategically, it would kind of take between yourself as a finance director, this is how much money we're planning on spending each year to reach these state goals of 20% by a given year, 30% by a given year, to the point where you get to 100% lead line replacement, where we could 100% verify every tap in our city doesn't have a lead service line. In my head, is not that hard of a task, especially since there's a lot of funding involved with it. That there's really, I mean, post Flint, there's the resources flooding into updating infrastructure and getting rid of lead service lines. Make it, in my head, pretty easy to say, okay, let's just find all our documented lead lines and we just set up a program with a qualified contractor or 2 or 3. How many are we going to do a day? And most of the time, they're pretty routine. Occasionally, you'll run into some issues, and I just feel confident enough, like, if we run into certain issues, I'm pretty confident to be able to go out to a job site, see why that is, and just how to navigate through it, get one repaired and go to the next one, so.
Thank you.
Council, any further questions or comments? Well, John, before we turn it over to you for any final comments you have, thank you again for applying. Thank you again for your time and being here. Just want to make sure you're aware that this is recorded
Yeah.
and publicly broadcasted. Okay, great. And I really appreciate the responses you provided across all the questions we had for you. So
Yeah.
we will look forward to being in touch on next steps.
Okay.
But before we let you go, anything you'd like to say in closing?
I was just kind of curious, this position has a lot of slashes in it, right? City administrator / DPW director. I didn't know if any of you could kind of offer your individual vision for it. Like, I want clear expectations from the beginning. I take over a city administrator job. Oh, well, you're going to spend half your time just doing HR, just handling union contracts, HR, and employees and their requests. Just, I don't know if anybody has kind of their view of, hey, we put a lot of slashes in here, but you're really going to be just focused on administrative contracts with businesses and engineering firms and infrastructure, or, hey, you're probably going to spend 15% on every one of the positions that traditionally have been broken up.
I'm glad to address unless anybody from council wants to.
Address the one, the pension board.
Oh, sure. You go ahead and then I'll speak.
I know the pension board, you just kind of sit on it with me, and it's only 4 times a year, so barely any of your time
Yeah.
is spent on that one.
Yep, and I was voluntold kind of to be the pension representative for our union when I was at the City of Romulus, so.
Yeah, it's 4 times a year, 1 hour for each one. We have 2 pension boards.
Interesting stuff to talk about, though. I don't know, I liked it the year and a half or 2 years I was just a union member on there, so.
Yeah, I think it's a few thoughts for me. Number one, charter rules our operation, right?
Yeah.
There's 18 duties listed. Number two, you're looking at an administration with 4 new faces as of November of last year.
Okay.
And really, we've been working hard to take inventory
Yep.
and get to work immediately
Okay.
in every aspect of our city operation. With that being said, one of the topics of discussion is how do we think about the roles and responsibilities of city administrator amongst broader professional services that we have, right? So I'd say we're in progress of that dialogue. The last thing I would say to you, which is going to be the most accurate assessment, is I would, before you leave this evening, chat with Vince.
Okay.
Because I always like to say, let's talk to the expert that's doing it. And
Yes.
Vince is our interim manager, who's been an absolute blessing to have here, and is seasoned in being in other cities.
Yeah.
Right, could give you a great, honest, transparent perspective of, in my months here in Gibraltar, here's how I see the
Yeah, this
role
is how much time
split.
I spend doing
And
it.
one thing we're looking at is like we're open-minded to dissecting everything, and we're leaning on Vince too, given his experience and expertise, to say, hey, you're in the job now. What are you seeing? What are you observing?
Yeah.
Right? And how did that help us inform our future discussion? So, in short, we're learning and absorbing as we speak.
Yep.
We'll make an informed decision for the long term, and
Definitely.
Vince is your guy to give you a little
Yep.
more intel on his experience.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I definitely, like I said, I would want this to be as successful as anyone up there would want it to be successful. You want to get something where, hey, we can communicate well, clearly, have good discussion, and then vote and take action, and then go on to the next item. So,
Well, we're grateful for your time, John, and we look forward to being in touch. Council's going to digest and
oh, yeah.
debrief.
Yep, long local government day for all of us, so.
And we look forward to being in touch, but hope
Yep.
you have a great evening with you and
Definitely.
yours, and we'll talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, appreciate you. Definitely, you too.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it, sir.
Definitely. Don't stay here working too late.
We can't help ourselves.
That's what we do. I don't know why we don't like local government so much, but I think we do.
Council, what I would ask is, now that we've completed our 4 interviews today, my request for you all is, let's keep our comments and assessments to ourselves. I think it's a fair, balanced way to dissect what we've documented, so that we can reconvene as a group to share our perspectives once we've digested and feel like we have an accurate assessment of where our heads are at. So, teach their own, but that would be my request for you all. Number 2 is, before you leave, just make sure you document any notes. And I personally went through the exercise of saying, yes, I feel this individual could be a good fit for this role. No, I do not feel this individual could be a good fit for the role. Or H, meaning hold, I need more information or time to digest it. So if you've done the same, great. If not, I'd like to be able to converge those types of perspectives when we get together next week, so we can talk about the pros and cons of each candidate, where each person on this chambers lies, and what we want to do next. Any other comments, questions from this evening before we would look for a motion to adjourn?
Can I make a quick suggestion?
Yeah, please.
Like maybe putting them in order as like how you, like number 1, 2, 3, 4, like in order of who you liked best.
Yeah.
It's possible that we're all going to have the same order, or close to it.
Okay, so does everybody like that idea per Amy? Like, if you're able to, rank in order of priority? And obviously, in that order of priority, if there's any that you don't feel should even be considered, then just make sure that's a side disclaimer in your order. Sound good? I thought it was a great discussion. Council, thanks for the time. I know it's a long day. Katie, thanks for coordinating pizza and everything else that we got to enjoy during our break. I know Vince isn't in the room, but hats off to Vince, because he made this magic happen, quarterbacking this entire operation that we have this evening. So I know Katie does a lot of work on that, but Vince has been magic in that sense. Council, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Second by Wood. Katie, can you call roll?
Schumate?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
Wood?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Cosmer?
Yes.
McNabb?
Yes.
Mulnar?
Yes.
Have a great night, everybody.
Have a great evening.
One of these things.